Well, Proverbs 31, this is the final chapter of the book of Proverbs. There's kind of a bunch of random stuff that got pulled together in this one, but let's jump in and get going now. In verse 1, it says, "The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him." So these are things that King Lemuel's mother taught him. You might be saying, well, who's this King Lemuel person? Well, scholars really don't know who this is. Some people think this could be Solomon, just under a different name, maybe a pseudonym or something. We don't know for sure who he is. He could be a neighboring king in the area, maybe after Solomon. Um, they don't know. There's not enough information to go on because this is literally he's mentioned in verse 1 and verse 4, and that's kind of the only place we find him. Now Lemuel, if I remember right, Lemuel means um, it means basically for God or devoted to God, which is fascinating because in the beginning of the Book of Mormon, we find out that Lehi's second son is named Lemuel. So we actually see a literal Old Testament name in the Book of Mormon. And that's fascinating that, why would Joseph Smith pick an obscure name like Lemuel? Because it's only found in these two verses out of the entire Old Testament, basically. But um, somebody who's not even well versed in the scriptures would probably never see this name, let alone put it in his narrative for an ancient book he's putting together, which I think lends a lot of credence to Joseph Smith using the proper names from Old Testament times. So he wasn't making it up; he was actually following what was written because it's written based on Old Testament times. So, anyways, this is the words of King Lemuel, basically, that we have here. So verse 2, "What, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows?" So this is coming from the perspective of his mother teaching it to him. "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. For it is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine to those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more." So she's saying in here basically, look, Lemuel, you need to keep your wits about you. You need to be thinking clearly when judging people and doing things. Alcohol is going to mess all that up. So you need to avoid consuming alcohol. Give alcohol to the people who don't care about their life, who their life is done. They don't see value in their life anymore. They're going to die anyways. Let them ruin their life. But for you as the king, you need to take better care of yourself. You need to think clearer and be better prepared to help the people and judge righteously, basically. Now, verse 3 is to kind of go back on this a little bit. Verse 3 is kind of an interesting one, I think, in here because it talks about don't give thy strength unto women. And I think what she's basically saying here is not to avoid women, but realize that if you follow the lust of your flesh, you're going to have a hard time being a good king. This could be kind of analogous of like, look what happened to Solomon. The dude went off his rocker and went bad. He had all this great stuff, great blessings, and then it fell apart. So that could be the advice that she's giving him. Don't fall into the trap, basically, of dealing with strange women or women that are just going to suck your time and energy away from you and not allow you to be king. I mean, it could be don't get a wife and kids and things, so that's not getting in your way of ruling. But I think it's more of avoid the excess women, avoid fulfilling the lusts of your flesh, those kinds of things. Now, verse 8, "Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction." So that one's kind of an interesting one to think about. This is in the New Revised Version. It says, "Speak out for those who cannot speak, for the rights of all the destitute." So that's what she's saying is, you as king, your job is to give a voice to those who don't have a voice or who can't put a voice together. Help the oppressed, help people to have an equality among them, basically. Verse 9, open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Again, help those who can't help themselves. That's your job as king. So this is a very wise woman. She's giving lots of great advice to her son in here. Now verse 10, this is another very often quoted part of Proverbs, Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Very, very important to think about. Okay, and she continues on here. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle. Her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. So this is very important for us, because this is what she's defining as a virtuous woman. And she's saying, son, if you're going to get married, don't deal with the floozies. Don't deal with the loose women that are out there. This is the woman you want to find. You want to find a woman who supports you, who helps you to feel okay so that you can go do what you need to do. If you're worried about her, you're worried about what she's doing at home, it's hard for you to go out and do the things you need to do as a husband and as a king to come back. And she needs to be industrious. She needs to be willing to give service to others. She needs to help people. She needs to be smart. She needs to think about, how can I improve the value of this? How can I help other people? She understands her value. She understands what she can do to help others out. She takes care of the people in her household. She looks after their needs. She anticipates what's going on with them. She works. She's not idle. She works and does things. She has wisdom. Her tongue is kindness. She's not getting mad and angry and contention with people. She is amazing, basically. Very amazing. In fact, in verse 30, it says, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands. Let her own works praise her in the gates. So some great ideas we think about of what is a virtuous woman. What are the things to look forward to? So some really interesting advice and ideas we have in there. Interesting advice that a mother is giving her son of what to look for in a good woman to have as a wife. Basically, really kind of interesting contrast that to some of the other things that they've talked about in these chapters. And quite a different contrast from like even how Solomon did things as well. So really interesting. I'd love to hear your comments on this chapter, what you think of it, what you learn of it, how does this affect you in your life when you think about this advice that this mother is giving Lemuel and this king, basically. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one, which is Ecclesiastes. We're jumping into the next book. We'll see you then.